Emily Gordine is following the story for us. She's our correspondent in Jerusalem. Hello, Emily. Hamas released 4 Israeli hostages today. What's going on with them back home?
That's right. They were reunited with their families at a Re'im military base. We already saw the footage of them being embraced by their parents. They were then flown by helicopter to the Rabin Medical Center outside of Tel Aviv, where they're undergoing medical treatment and a medical evaluation. That's also where they met other family members, such as their siblings, for example. Now, we've already heard as well from a top official in the Israeli Health Ministry about the treatment that they're receiving there. So far, they've gone through quite an extensive medical evaluation that was, quote, emotionally and medically complex. But I think it's safe to say that for the families, it's a huge relief in and of itself to see their daughters come back alive.
Right. Now, as part of the ceasefire, Israel has also released Palestinian prisoners. What do we know about them? That's right. So for every soldier that Hamas released, Israel, for its part, released 50 Palestinian prisoners. Now, we're talking about some 120 of these prisoners are said to be serving life sentences in Israeli prisons. Some were convicted for multiple murders, including the killing of Israeli civilians. That being said, there's also some very young prisoners who were released, the youngest one being 16 years old, the oldest one being 69 years old. And we also know that the most serious offenders didn't actually arrive in the occupied West Bank. They were taken out of the country via Egypt to neighboring countries such as Qatar and Turkey. Right. So you filmed with a young Palestinian woman who was part of last week's prisoner release. Let's have a look and come back to you afterwards.
It was the day Amal Shujayyeh had been waiting for. After 7 long months in an Israeli prison, she was finally released as part of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas.
The joy is indescribable, thank God.
Almost a week later, we meet her at home with her family in the occupied West Bank. She's still getting used to being here, the memories of the day of her arrest still etched in her mind.
When we were taken to the detention center, the 4 strip searches for female prisoners began, which is a very bad experience that Palestinian female prisoners go through when entering any detention center. They would do these searches daily. Often late at night, they would confiscate our clothes, our personal belongings, dishes, and pots.
Amal was studying journalism in her last year at Birzeit University near Ramallah when the Israeli military arrested her for what they say was inciting violence.
The occupiers were opposed to student activism on the university campus, even though this student activism is officially approved by the university administration.
For her family, it's a relief to see her back home, having been prevented from visiting her for the entire time she was incarcerated. Amal says that was one of the worst parts of being in prison.
We'd see our families just for a few seconds during the court session, which was held electronically. We would only see them for very brief moments. If I tried to communicate with them during that time or signal to reassure them I was in good health, the soldier would cut off the connection, and everything would end there. It was a feeling of deep oppression and humiliation.
Reports like these are common among Palestinians who were released from Israeli prisons, according to the prisoner advocacy group Adamir. This, together with reports of starvation policies, overcrowding and lack of proper medical attention. And even when people are released, they may not be free for long.
All of the detainees, whether being released to the West Bank or to East Jerusalem, they need to continuously show up for court appointments. And in this, it's very possible that the detainee could be easily targeted and faced with rearrest, basically, because with all previous sort of exchange deals that we've seen before, The detainees were subjected to rearrests. Even the November 2023 deal, 27 of the freed detainees were subjected to rearrests.
For now, Amal is trying to settle back into her old life. She tells me that she wants to get back to her podcast that she started at university and finish her degree to become a journalist herself so she can continue telling the stories of other Palestinians.
Of course, being arrested will not stop us from delivering our message, from conveying our cause to the world. But honestly, we'll be more cautious in how we deliver the message.
This a reflection of the uncertainty many Palestinians face as they look to their future.
Emily, good reporting there. So your protagonist was arrested for inciting violence. Are there many other released prisoners who were arrested for such minor crimes?
The short answer to that is yes, and it is something that human rights organisations have continuously criticised Israel for. When we look at the women and the children who were released last weekend as part of the first phase of the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, many of them were arrested for example, what they wrote on social media, for participating in protests, or especially when it comes to kids, for throwing stones. And the Israeli and human rights organizations even go as far as to say that Israel is, as in fact, incarcerating people in order to have them sort of in their prisons as a future bargaining chip when it comes to negotiations such as what we're seeing right now. So really heavy accusations there regarding the conditions under which Palestinians are being arrested, on top of the conditions of the Israeli prisons themselves that the UN also has criticised on multiple occasions over the last few years. And what's important to say here, I think, as well, is that what we're hearing from human rights organisations is that since the attacks by Hamas on October 7th in 2023, the intensity of the arrests and the conditions of the prisons themselves has rapidly, it's deteriorated incredibly.
Right. DW's Emily Gordine reporting from Jerusalem. Thank you. Now, Amjad Shawa is head of the Palestinian Non-Governmental Organizations Network. He joins us now from Deir al-Balah in the central Gaza Strip. Hello, Mr. Shawa. Some Palestinian prisoners released today just arrived in Gaza. Tell us what's happening.
Yes, they just arrived to the European hospital. We have medical check after they arrived, and they are waiting for that they can manage to meet with their families. Part of their families were killed in this war. And just to correct what you have mentioned, they are not the criminals who were released today. Amal wasn't committed any crime. Amal, she was struggling, demonstrating her opinion about the occupation, so she was arrested. So it's not minor crime. It's what the crime to arrest Amal herself and to put her in such detention conditions. Today, it's a very sad day also for the Palestinians in Gaza who are waiting in the crossings to go back to their destroyed neighborhoods. Just now, we have been informed of the killing of one Palestinian who is waiting in Salah ad-Din Street to cross to go back to Gaza City after 15 months of displacement. Yes, happy to see this prisoner swap, but there is so many injured today because of the Israel shooting towards the Palestinians. We hope that this will continue, and we have that all parties to be committed to end this deal and to have peace again to the Gazans, and on the same time to start the Gaza recovery and to save the lives of the Palestinians who are in bad need for that.
Right. So Israel accuses Hamas of failing to release civilian hostage Abel Yehud on Saturday. Prime Minister Netanyahu now says Israel will not allow Gazans to cross into the northern Gaza Strip. What's going on, you think?
Already, I think this issue was ended by the Israeli declaration that they will let in tomorrow the Palestinians, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who were displaced for 15 months, to move through the two streets, Salah ad-Din and Rashid. Rashid, it will be by foot, and already so many families removed their tents to be ready and to stay all the night till the early morning to move to their homes. As you know, 1 week ago, there was the first swap, and there was so many families in Gaza City. They moved to their
Right.
neighborhoods in the north of Gaza Strip. They found no homes, no place to stay in, no facilities, no
Right.
infrastructure, mountains of debris and rubble. So we wish this will continue from all actors in order to apply this agreement on the
Right.
ground and to find an end for this suffering.
Right. Due to time, would have to end it here. Amjad Shawa, head of the Palestinian Non-Governmental Organizations Network. Thank you very much for your time.